Hello, this video is going to be about adding Openbox to a Debian 9 server. If you have a server and you don't like the terminal commands and would rather have a graphical interface, but you don't want a lot of resources, what you can do is use a window manager like Openbox, which is graphical interface for you to use. And there's a couple options, whether you want the display manager to log into it or whether you want to log into the terminal and then open Openbox. So I'll show both of those options. So we'll start with installing Openbox. So we'll start this virtual machine right here. It'll be the same thing whether you're on a virtual machine or whether you're bare metal. And I'm using Debian 9 without a desktop environment, and that's the same Debian 9 that we used to set up the Minecraft server in a couple prior videos. So pretty soon, there it is. So here's the terminal login, and we're logged in. Now if we want to install Openbox, it's a good thing to first update everything. So everything's up to date. If you wanted to upgrade something, it would be sudo apt upgrade, but there's nothing to upgrade. Okay, so to install Openbox, apt will pull in a lot of the dependencies on its own, but not all of them. So you would do sudo apt install Openbox, and you need xinit, and you need xterm. And that's all the stuff it has to pull in. So yes. And this is going to be a while. So I'll pause the video while it downloads all the stuff that it needs for Openbox. And then we'll get set up Openbox for you to log in with terminal and then turn on Openbox. Okay, so we have Openbox installed now, but we don't have a display manager. You'll see what happens when we reboot. And I keep doing that. Okay, sudo reboot. So let's reboot now. And enter, speed it up. So it does its normal stuff. Still thinking. Now we have the terminal login. There's no graphical login because we haven't installed a display manager, which we'll do later. Okay, so now we logged in, but there's still no Openbox. It's still there because we have to configure it. So we do nano to open up the terminal editor, and then something like x session, and then you can see I've already typed in the thing that we need. So just if it's an empty file, which it probably will be the first time you set it up, of course, then you do exec for execute, and then Openbox. That should be all we need. Control X to exit it, Y to save, and then write the file name, and then we do start X. And let's see what happens. There we have a mouse cursor. And then if we want to get back into terminal, for example, to start the Minecraft server, and then it'll load eventually. Remember, this is a virtual machine without many resources dedicated to it, so it's going to take a while to load the server. There we go, it's starting, spawning. Okay, and let's say we want to open another terminal. There we go, we don't have to do Control-Alt F1 or F2, although we can if we want to open another session. But let's see how much memory is there. This is just a demonstration to show you can have more than one terminal open at once in the same desktop. And we're only using 500 megabytes with the Minecraft server running and Openbox. So let's stop this, and then we could close this. Let's look at the memory use now. 68 megabytes. It's typically going to be 50 to 100 megabytes for Openbox, as compared to 500 to a gigabyte. 500 megabytes to a gigabyte for a typical operating system on Debian 9. Sometimes as low as 400 megabytes, and that's pretty good for an operating system, for a desktop environment on Debian 9. But here, Openbox, just a window manager, as you can see, it's 10% or so of what a desktop environment would be using in resources, which means you can dedicate more resources to other things. And then other options that we have. A web browser. Well, we don't have a web browser attached, so let's see what happens. See, no web browser. It just gives us an error, and then you can have different desktops. You can configure your desktop with these settings, and then you could restart or you could exit. But let's install a web browser. With Openbox, I like Firefox. And the command would be sudo apt install Firefox -esr for extended release. Reason I don't like Chromium on Openbox is that it keeps crashing, and rather than look at the logs and troubleshoot and figure out what's causing the crash, I just purged it and installed Firefox instead, and found it works that way a lot better. So I'll stick with Firefox in this, and then if I want to upload to a drive like Google Drive or Mega, I can do the web login. I haven't thought of trying to set up Mega for a file synchronization, but that would use up resources and kind of defeat the purpose of not having a desktop environment. So when you want to back up, just go to open up the web browser that we're installing now and log in. Okay, it's still download the file. It's at I've talked all the way to the full download. It's finished downloading. Talked for a minute. Now it's installing Firefox and its dependencies. It's thinking. Okay, now let's try web browser. See what happens. There we go. Firefox. Just standard Firefox. And then you could, if you want, you could sign into sync. You could do all the other stuff that you could do in a regular Firefox browser on a regular, even with just a window manager instead of a desktop environment. And I think that's all you need. And you could just exit. And you've exited back to that. Then you could do sudo power off, or you could do sudo reboot, or if you change your mind, start X again. And you're back into the desktop, into the window environment. Okay, let's say this is too much. Maybe you have people in the household who aren't as comfortable with the desktop environment. Or, I'm sorry. Let's say you have people in the house who are not comfortable without a graphical login. Well, that's easy too. Instead of just starting with StartX, we could, and I'm going to use a different clone of the Debian 9 server for this. We could just install a display manager too, so we have a graphical login. Okay, still waiting. And in this virtual machine right here, it's like we don't have, like we're starting from what we started at the beginning of the video. I haven't installed Openbox on this one. It's just the Debian 9 Minecraft server that's been cloned. Clone into something else for me to mess with. That way I have the original, but that I can mess with all that I want and clone all that I want until I'm done messing with it. So back to this, just log in like normal. I already logged in, I forgot. And then sudo apt update. To check everything. All packages are up to date, and then sudo apt install, and then all the packages that we installed before, Openbox, xinit, xterm, but this time we're going to add Lightdm, and if you want a menu, which I don't see the need for, then you could do a menu, and we'll do that this time. Show what you want, or show what the menu does, and it's just a right-click thing like the I demonstrated earlier with an extra menu of what's installed. And I'll show it. And then if we want the browser again, we could do Firefox ESR, or you can mess with Chromium if you want to, if you like that better, and just look at the logs to diagnose why it's crashing. So this is all the stuff that's going to download and install. So yes, it's going to be a while, so I'll pause this video again. Okay, it's installed. We have installed Openbox, Xinit, Xterm, and Lightdm, and Firefox. The reason that I went with Lightdm as a display manager rather than KDM or GDM or a lot of others is that Lightdm can play well with others, basically. KDM is a KDE display manager. GDM is a Gnome display manager. And what if you want to install something else like Gnome with KDE display manager? I don't even know if it'll work. It might. But you have the possibility of having conflicts. So I chose Lightdm, which is independent of those two and can work with either of them if you want to add a desktop environment at some point in the future. So let's see what this looks like. I keep doing that. Sudo reboot. Hopefully it works. It's thinking. Ignore that. And there we go. There's our login, or display manager, with which we can log in. And with this display manager, if there's more than one window manager or desktop environment, you could click that and just choose whatever you want. It says default, but Openbox is the only thing, so it's going to be default, obviously. If you want to stop and shut it down, then you could do this if you want. So there's lots of different options. So let's log in. We're logged in. No long login for loading the desktop environment. We still have the terminal emulator. We still have the web browser. Eventually, while it's thinking. Someday. There's our browser. And here's the menu. Fancy, huh? It has a couple neat things like that terminal, which automatically pulls this up for you, and it shows memory in kilobytes. So it's showing that I'm using 72 megabytes now. Or we could use just the free -m command, which is easier to read. This one says that I'm using 71 megabytes, which is still a lot better than the 500 to a gigabyte that the desktop environment uses. So let's see what else is here. Desktop, same as the others. You can configure your different options. And so on. And that. Let's see if there's anything else. And so let's exit. So that brings us back to the login. And then we can shut down. And that's it. We're done. We have demonstrated installing Openbox on Debian 9 without any other operating system as the first. I'm sorry. We have demonstrated installing Openbox on the Debian 9 operating system without any other desktop or environment or window manager. And you still have to, in that way, you have to configure it to start and then command it to start with startx. And we have demonstrated the installation of Openbox with Lightdm as the display manager, so you don't have to have terminal commands unless you have a program that requires it, like the Minecraft server. You could log in with Lightdm, and you can log in with Lightdm and get into your window manager of Openbox. So that's it. Thank you. Bye.